Okay, it's not even 4 yet. It's less than 12 hours since the last video. Oh, maybe I'm just gonna start putting them out every 12 hours or something until this is over. It's like the build up to Christmas. Maybe the people out here talking about spiritual stuff as things build. Maybe we're supposed to just build up with it. I'm like even using visualization and stuff of like that door, or the door that I was talking about, the pushing it through. And so all of the energy that is pushing up against the dark, like the light that's trying to come in, and then we're pushing on that door, but the suction kind of has it. And God, it's making things so weird. Even in the comments, the other people who are having weird things. But I am really worried about, I'm horrible with names, but the new friend from Hawaii, as she talks to me on TikTok, and she talks to me, she had emailed me before, and she totally resonates with all the stuff that we talk about and feels so, I don't know, maybe we're all just an aspect of the same higher self or something, but so many of us have so many synchronicities and similarities and stuff. It's trippy. But anyways, and I'm pretty sure she's in Maui. And the place that got destroyed, of course, is I think it was mostly indigenous people, but it was a highly touristy place, but probably because of the historical factors of the indigenous people there. And I swear to God, they just purposely go in and destroy these places. But, when all of this is happening, all this ancestral, because I heard somebody else say something about, I think it was Hawaii, and somebody was saying there's a huge ancestral thing, like it carries so much, just like the person who I had seen talking about in Alabama. Is all these places where these really huge things happen, there's more to it. It isn't random. That's what people gotta realize. Nothing is random. Nothing is by accident. Everything's exactly the way it's supposed to be. And we have these spiritual, these energetic battles that are happening. It's like the end. It's like going full circle. And so, it can be what was taken from the ancestors that now the energy is going back. So it's going back to the earth, because the tribes and the ancestors were more in union, were more in harmony with the planet. That is, it's like I can see, but it's hard to explain, because I've talked about it, and you can put it together like puzzle pieces in movies and stuff. And it's like the introduction of the white folk or something that they did. It's like they created a bunch in a lab, and they probably kept them in there for a while like puppies, just seeing if they, like how they do with the mice. Can they be bossed around? Can they, the under the Getty, I guess, I had just seen footage, and I don't know if this rescue just happened or if this was a while back when they did the tunnels under, New York or whatever, but there was a whole bunch of kids that were rescued. But it was, they said it was worse conditions. And I've heard of horrible conditions, so horrible. And they said these were the worst. Like, I kind of feel like, and it was 18 floors underground. Like in Stranger Things, or a lot of these movies, Men in Black, where they get on these elevators to go shooting them down. It is because there's so much is layered. There's so much about realms and stuff. They use this stuff to their advantage, but they hide the truth from us. So then we live in the dark. We live in the village. We live in fear. All this stuff is still around us, but they keep people so scared of it, like ghosts aliens and stuff like that. But they got to have these monsters, you know. If you knew the monsters were them, you know, you wouldn't listen to them. So, yeah, they had to come up with some other monsters to distract you so you would be in fear for your life that they created for you. This flesh and blood life that they keep you sick and all of that. It's really cool, though, when you really realize about the people waking up. But, oh, yeah. So when you go back to the introduction of the white folk, whatever they did, creating them in labs and, you know, using different DNAs, which, you know, there's a lot of talk that it was out of this planet DNA. And I don't know all of the different ways that they do this stuff. I just, you know, see what they do with dog breeding. And I know they're doing this weird shit in labs here. And all these mad scientists, you know, they want to put, you know, a monkey and a pig together and see what happens. You know, and they do it all the time with us. They just look at us like we're animals. And, but we need to get in touch with that side of ourselves. We need to get in touch with that animal side of ourselves. Like, you know, because it's so like Planet of the Apes. Only it's, how the apes are the intelligent, you know, and dressed, and the humans are like cave people. But think about the intelligent beings, which a lot of the other apes, like a lot of them are not all humanoid. They're different kind of animals and stuff too. And so when we start interacting with all of the different ones, it's going to be just like in those movies where they show just all of those, what was that, like Star Wars or whatever, and the bar scene. There's been so many movies like that now, Men in Black, where it was just a whole bunch of different things, beings. It's just like every kind of life form. It's like life wants to experience itself in every life form. But the same thing that powers every life form is the soul, the intelligence, the energetic intelligence. And so that is, oh yeah, and when you think about conscious energy being in the collective consciousness or something of like wind, or let's see, like wind, water. I think even a forest isn't just one energy. I mean, it can be, but a lot of different energies can connect and be a part of that experience. And it's all different kinds of experiences, you know, to experience life as a tree and grow and, you know, like have, you know, birds landing on you and kids hanging from you and all of the different experiences that you can have as a tree as you grow, and all of the sensations and experiences, and they are all connected underground, and they have higher intelligence as well. But so when all the energies or spirits or souls or however you want to see it, like when I was saying yesterday, so like right now we're ascending, and so it's like the fractal that becomes you can stay you because you're ascending, so you don't have to just go back. Besides the fact, I really don't think everybody goes back to just becoming, you know, a lot of people in their near-death experiences, they go and they feel that connection and, you know, being a part of all of that. But I don't think that is something that since there's no time, I mean, you could be there as long as you felt, but there's still a whole you identity. That when you go into that, it's like a meshed identity. It's not like it is like a flock of birds, you know. It isn't, it's in sync with one another. It's a unified energy. So staying as a sovereign energy is different. So there's like different energy forms. There's different ways that, you know, you can express yourself. All different ways you can express yourself as energy. But so that collective energy, you know, that it can be water, that can be air, that can play like bigger roles, you know, like a flock of geese or something, which I don't know. A flock of geese could be one energy, you know, does a whole flock. I guess just like one energy can do a whole forest. You know, one energy can be a whole goddamn planet. So, no, I mean, the planet where we're all different energies is one energy. So, yeah, and I think that kind of shows you is that why, you know, you're working on expanding your own energy, because like the possibilities of being able to feel and exist and understand yourself, it's just like it's endless. The possibilities are endless. And so, but so on the creation of the white people, so I think that they got you know, DNA, but they also did something about removing stuff, you know, removing, I mean, something about, definitely the melanin is what they focus on, but something about trying to get it out of them, out of people, not just make new people, but try and get that out of people. And then the people who have it, which, I mean, there's so many, but they're always under attack, always under attack. And that to me is kind of the white supremacy, is to not be aware of the other one's story, to not even be aware like that those are the indigenous people and what the attacks are under. Like, to me, that supremacy of like, well, it's not my problem. I don't need to pay attention. And it's like, these are our forefathers. Like, we come from a lab. And these are the people who have gone through everything, you know. And I'm not saying all the white people are all labs and don't, because it's a part, it's a role. Just keep that in mind. You're just playing a role. But the role of where did the white people come from is the one I'm talking about. And just all of the signs are there. Like this orphan train thing, this Cabbage Patch situation. I mean, it was even a circus show for a while, growing babies in incubators. And all of the, and even in the circus, all the weird anomaly things that they had in jars. Well, where did all those come from? Because they were doing experiments. So listen to that fucking Rabbi Finkelstein. Like, fuck, if you don't get some fucking weird vibes from that shit. But I think that is where some of these people who are speaking out, like, I'm not really sure what Kanye or Jamie Foxx have said, but I know, like, in certain industries, you know, it is like the Jewish people had taken over it. I even had heard stories that is like, and I have no idea, like, I wasn't there, but that they were trying to, the Jewish people were the ones who were taking over, and they were trying to fight back. And I guess that's why they wanted to kill them all off, is because they had taken over all this stuff with money. They were the ones enslaving people. They were the ones who had all the money, all the riches, and all the power. And they were conniving, I guess. That's the rumor. Anyways, you know, I don't know. You don't know anything unless you're there. But, you know, and that's why the certain people were fighting back. But then there was the push all the time for the, you know, the people who were lacking color. And, is that was the thing. But it was kind of like, well, you can control them or something. They won't go and fuck you over like these other people. And so, but the people, like the Jewish people, like I said, I'm pretty sure if you ask a Jewish person if they're white, they say that they're Jewish. Like they're their own thing. They don't see themselves. Like, I don't know, like I said, like the different amounts of melanin in people's bodies. Like, I think we all have some, it's like they've been trying to take it out of people, get one and then put those two together and then those, you know what I mean? So they keep trying to do it to, it's like keep adding more and more cream to the coffee. And so they are trying to, make it basically where you can't even taste the coffee. And so, but there's a purpose to it. And, but those original people, like the Rockefellers and all that, like if those people are all like Jewish people, like I don't know, all the original people, and that they aren't just white people, or was there original people, and then they started taking the color out of them to make the white people, and then they made the Rockefeller people. Like, I don't know, when you go back to these people, like they look like they're fucking 1,000 years old. So I don't know like what color they are. Like, fuck, I don't know. And to me, there's a lot of people who I would look at them and I would think that they would be considered white people, but they're still not. I mean, there's a lot of really light Spanish people, and I don't know. I think it's really an individual thing. It's a personal thing. Once you start getting to, different amounts of cream in the coffee, of how you see yourself and how your relatives see themselves. And, because like I said, I've seen people who think that they are melanated, and then people who are darker melanated tell them, no, you're a white person. And so it's like, look, but there's people who, like, I think if you ask a lot of Spanish people, they wouldn't see themselves as being white people, like Italian people wouldn't. But when you think about, like, so that Scottish and Irish thing, though, because I was thinking about some people look, ethnic, but I still think that they would be considered to be white people, like the people in the UK. I think even people in France. So it was like, I think however they did it, wherever they created it, like if it was the original people were the Jewish people and were all in control. And then there was, but they are the ones with the mad scientists. So they wouldn't do something to defeat themselves. So I don't know, I would say when they started making the white people, it was all just to control. It was all like, well, we'll get rid of the original people and then we'll just have these ones that we can control. We can tell them, all of this stuff. Like, we don't have culture. We don't have old stories and stuff like that. We've all been, well, we've got this, a little bit of this blood, a little bit of this blood, a little bit of this blood. And how much of the stuff in our blood are they even hiding? And so they, however they mixed it, and I bet you it is. I bet you it is something with these Jewish people, because they are like these, they see themselves as being like and I'm not just talking about regular Jewish people. I'm talking about the religious ones, the ones who, like the Rabbi Finkelstein and stuff, so who look down on us like we are lower than them. And I bet you all those Rockefellers and all those people are from those bloodlines, and that those ones, how they, if there was like different groups, because there is like the Neanderthal and the Homo sapien and the Homo sapien sapien. There is these holes that are, what do they call them? It's like a problem in the chain. Like they can't figure out what happened at certain times. And I can't think of what it's called, but you can look up about it. But so in that goes with the Sumerian tablets where they were doing certain changes. But so if the Anunnaki were doing that, and then if they created a certain group first, like there's different groups though, because there is a thing about the Neanderthals and the Homo sapiens, or the Homo sapiens sapiens, going parallel. I'm pretty sure that they were going, and then all of a sudden the Neanderthals just kind of disappeared. And then maybe is when they had Homo sapiens sapien. I don't know. You'd have to go and look at the whole fucking thing, and then how much of our story is just manipulated. Because, when we were trying to put it together ourselves and see, like, the people in charge, the people who really have all the money, the people who really see themselves as having all the power and being above us, and them actually having some power, and then how if, once they created those people, see, we migrated ourselves, but we were placed in certain places. So they took the people from the labs, just like they do now, and put them in Hollywood. Now they're more mainstreaming. Like, we're not going to just make any old, well, I think they still make any old ones, but they're trying to create idols and to control us and stuff, because I think they're really trying to market on that shallow side of people. And so but the ones in charge, the ones who had all the money, the ones who looked down on us, like, just listen to that Rabbi Finkelstein. It's disgusting. And I'm pretty sure he talks about eating people too. It's really gross. And but it makes so much sense of how they look down on us and how they hunt us and all that kind of stuff. And how they would see themselves as not being white people, because white people are lab created people. And that is where they wanted to start, putting us out. And okay, so just if you think about, like, there being a lab in Denmark, and then in Denmark, I'm just saying, because of other things that they have going now, and that the lightness of people, lightness of their hair and stuff like that, like, those ones are, like, they've taken more melanin out of them, so it's closer to the nucleus or something. And so then they make all these people, and whatever they do to mess with them, trying to follow what went on before. Then they go and they take them to communities, to certain places. And I swear to God, Irish people, I don't know. There's something with the Irish, like there's something like with the giants, or something with, there's some sort of ethnicity. Like, there's, in some of those islands, there's some sort of ethnicity, and then they kind of blended it. Like, so they took the people, like, on the trains and stuff like that, and started putting them out and getting them into society. So they, like, flooded certain places with them. And then they must have just had stories, or they would have a war, and then all of a sudden there'd be all these orphans, like, oh, we don't know where all these kids came from, what are we going to do with them? But they were really from the labs. And so then if they have to put them out into farms, well, I'll get them to work for you. Again, keep putting it where, there's no culture being given, there's no connection. And so then go and attack those places. So go in and attack Ireland, attack Scotland, and start wars there to migrate the people out so that they try and leave the places to go to safety. So that is why they would attack some of those places, to push the people to go and migrate, to get them out there, to get them like to go to America where there was a lot of indigenous people of all different, because where they tell a lot of these people they're from Africa, there's all sorts of evidence that they're really from like Florida and not from Africa. And so, or down in, like kind of more coming across from the Caribbean and down in that kind of area all along the Gulf. And so, and then they went in because they always, in the way they create the hierarchy, but then they, I don't know, give some of these guys money to go start ranches, and then they have to go in and attack these people and take their lands. And then, well, you can stay there, but you're going to work. And you're going to go out there and work. And then they start policing them and stuff like that, making sure, and beating them. And it just got uglier and uglier. But it was all to destroy certain communities. Like they were doing it in all different areas, like all different places, like up here where I'm at, like there's reservations. They just go and put these people out, like, it's just as disgusting. But, it's not like the white people now. I mean, people have no idea. They don't know, what their role was to play in this, like, taking over the earth or something. It is more taking over. It's kind of like one group created beings, but there's like certain beings that are always trying to take over. But but they're low vibration. So, because it is kind of like, so they can go to low vibration places and, do shenanigans and try and take over. And, but they can't go into higher vibration. But then higher vibration beings come to try and help the lower vibration because of, just like the situation where we're in. And that is why, like, the call went out and so many beings, it's like the planet calls out. It's like the energy of the planet calls out, and like a death scream when there's too much darkness taking over. And so then it's just like I had said before when I first started talking. Well, I don't know when I first started, but a while ago, like a couple years ago. And I was saying it is like the solar system is like a giant body and a disease. And then all the light, like the white blood cells, because it's micro macro, so all the light comes to kill the disease. So it's kind of like the planet was filling with darkness, and it put out that energy like a scream, like a frequency went out. And then it is like all of the different beings. And, and I don't know if some have certain roles, like what people think of like angels or something. But it's different energy frequencies, because it is like the Pleiadians are kind of like that, where people think like they're angelic, but they're like do-gooders, kind of. It seems like that are trying to do good for other people and stuff. So that... So it's kind of like all of these different beings, all of these different life forms, literally, came to play a part in the light. But it's all a natural thing. It isn't like it has to be done. What if it didn't happen? Oh my God, what if this? What if that? It's not any of that. It's always going to go that way. There's nothing that you need to worry about. But what if? Well, it was almost. Oh my God, I almost died. It almost happened. This almost happened. It almost happened because it wasn't going to happen, because it can't happen. It's a wake-up call. It's to get your attention. And so you start paying attention. And so the I can't remember what I was saying, but I'm just really stuck on this these original people, and this whole thing of this, it's kind of like coming to the surface, and the Jewish people, and I don't mean this like mean about the Jew, because the same thing with them. I mean, they've just been watered down. I mean, they're not all back in the, back room in the, with the hidden knowledge and stuff. They don't all know the hidden knowledge. They get the truth hidden from them too. There's only certain groups of people, but I bet you there's a lot of people in that Jewish culture that, like, your great grandpa or your grandpa or something, was involved. But then the people, as they got older, they just grew away from that. Like it's kind of being done on purpose, but didn't care so much what grandpa had to say. Didn't want to go to church. Didn't. So I think that there was a lot of hidden knowledge in a lot of different families that kind of got lost because of the direction that the culture was going. But there's still the ones, the holders of the truth, those hidden groups. And there's something big about the Jewish people. And, I don't know all the whole thing, but it wouldn't surprise me if those were the original people. And then besides the tribes, I'm talking about the original, because of the Neanderthal, the Homo sapien, and the Homo sapien sapien. So somewhere in there, so if they took the animals, and don't think of them as like, oh, they took a dog and turned it into a human. They took a monkey and turned it into a human. No, these things, the beings were, I think, more intelligent beings anyways. They weren't just like, a regular monkey or something. They were some sort of more kind of advanced. It was something that you could see and go, that could, take directions. That could do our work for us. And we do that all the time to animals. We're always looking around. I mean, even with dogs, like, I see Stella as my companion. I don't see her as a dog. I talk to her just like she's a person. And so, whatever. It wasn't just taking animals and making them into people. But they, whatever, when they started, they didn't like it because we were too much like animals and grunting and having sex and stuff all the time. They didn't like it. So that's why they wiped out the first ones, it says in the Sumerian tablets. And then they tried to do the next ones. And so, and I don't know if that was the jump to Homo sapien, or if there was still more in the Neanderthal stage. But somewhere in there, there was some sort of advancement. I don't know if that was a whole nother group coming and making this, or if there was beings that evolved. But, there's certain groups, there's certain tribes, and they look more like original people. Like, I don't look at like a Jewish person and think they look like a person from a tribe. So I don't think they look like original indigenous people. Like, I think that there's certain things about indigenous people. There's something more in their face, in their features. There's like an ethnicity. There's something that gives them something that just looks indigenous. Like, I think it's missing in a lot of white people. I think that's what white people are trying to capture a lot of times, is find culture, find some sort of ethnic tie in themselves, you know, like so many people, oh my God, they get so excited if they find like 2% of color in their freaking 23andMe things, you know. But so anyways, I think, but you know, the Jewish people, I have like an ethnic looking faces, but then they have like a different, like there's too much cream in the coffee, and so there's something going on there. And so wherever the 13 original families came from, if they brought in other DNA and they already had started it then, well, these ones, you know, they were good for our slaves, but we need to bring in some other ones and to control them. And so then did some other kind of thing. And then, you know, did that bring other beings in, you know, to keep doing it? It seems to me that those 13 original families kind of participate in it. Like, you know, where people think, you know, well, does the government have to do with the aliens? I think the 13 original families fucking do too. I think that there's a lot more alien, like how people say the fucking royals are really reptiles, they're really reptilians. Like, a lot of these people could be fucking shapeshifters, for all we know. Maybe that's what all the Jewish people are, fucking shapeshifters. I don't fucking know. That sounds so mean, because there's so many Jewish people aren't back from that thing, you know, that are just regular people. They're just like, it's in their bloodline. Because when you have it in your blood, you're Jewish. Like, you know, you got 1%, you're still Jewish. Like, and that is one of those where the older people really wanted to keep that pure. There's a lot of different bloodlines where different tribes wanted to keep their bloodlines pure. They did not want people mixing up with other people. I think that they kind of, you know, the controllers, I think, kind of pushed that to just kind of mix things up. But it was always going to happen that way, because that's part of the experiment, is us all mixing up and coming together. And so we come together in unity on the planet. You know, it's kind of like that collective energy. So we start moving together. But what's trippy right now, it is like it's so chaotic. The movement, like if you're like, for me, like going out, I'm going, like my movement is, it's trippy. I don't know. Like everything I'm doing, I'm not moving the same in this world anymore. This world and I are not in the same relationship that I was in with it, you know, last year. And like when I woke up, I had a braid in, and it just, I must have been laying weird, and it just got like in the crick of my neck or something. And so it was really hurting, and it woke me up. And so then I was like, oh my gosh. So I just got up. I even made a cup of cocoa. In this movie I was watching yesterday, it was kind of like the movie Gaslight. And which, that's where the frame gaslighting comes from, is from the movie, because the movie is all about that, where the husband is gaslighting the wife. But it's, I can't remember. It has to do with this light too, because there's a gas light. But anyways, that's where people start coming up with, because of how this husband lies to the wife, but she believes, she doesn't trust herself. She doesn't believe her eyes and her ears and her own senses. She keeps believing her husband, and he is saying his version. He's not being honest. He's, you know, and so he's gaslighting her. But that's where it came from. But anyways, this movie that I was watching was like the exact same. and I can't think of the people's names in it, but it had famous people in it too. And this one, her husband is, he's got this Rita Hayworth look-alike girlfriend. So funny. These old movies, you know, like, oh, Rita Hayworth works. Well, let's get a look-alike and put her in here because she'd be too expensive. Or maybe she's too busy or something. But put her in there. And it's so obvious. But anyways, but it was the same kind of thing where the husband was gaslighting the wife to make her, he wanted to get rid of her so he could go be with the Rita Hayworth girl. And the wife, of course, was the rich one. So he had to get rid of her so he could have all her money so he could have the Rita Hayworth girl. But anyway, she would drink, she had problem. Well, he was drugging her too, when she would go to bed in her drink and hypnotizing her. But anyway, she was saying about she was having hot chocolate before she went to bed. And so I got up and I made a cup of hot chocolate. So my whole long ass story to get to my hot chocolate. So I got up and I made some hot chocolate, homemade hot chocolate. So, because I went to the store yesterday, so I got some almond milk. And even almond milk's bad for you too, motherfucking. But every goddamn thing is, like, seriously. Unless you have your own goddamn cow out there, you can't use feed. You can't, like, I mean, and it's dangerous on fucking grass. Like, god damn, everything is just like, fuck. This is, and by the way, I saw a video of this Canadian woman. It seems like she said she was by New Brunswick. I don't know, but anyways, she was asking, is there a bird that is 3 times the size as an eagle and has a tail? I really need to know if anybody knows of a bird that's like it's 3 times the size of an eagle and has a tail. And she's like, I've never seen anything like it. I think I'm pretty sure it's prehistoric. And yesterday when I went to go get water, you know, and it's all this and it looks like, I've always said the whole time I've lived over here, when you're out by the forest, it looks like any second you're going to see a dinosaur just come ripping through there. And so I'm standing there with the water and I'm looking up and I'm like, oh, fuck. They fucking released dinosaurs on us now too. These motherfuckers. And so I'm just like, oh my God, just watch for the fucking dinosaurs to come tearing through the fucking forest so I can run and get my car. And they'll do those little creepy raptors too, those little fucking fast ones, or those ones that fly around. Like they already had said that they were doing this shit. Oh, we found some dragons. We found some old dinosaurs. We're going to just go ahead and see. We're going to bring them back to life. See what happens. Yeah, because we live in fucking mad scientist world. And so back to the creation of the white folk. So then whatever with these original people, they kept it going. You know, it's always been about control, and there's always been more experiments going on the whole time. And so whatever time, like, I don't know if you went back, because there's no consistent history. It's just different ages. I think in this age, like, I don't think in other ages, I don't think that there was white people. I think this is the only age that there has been. And I think that it is, you know, a part of what they created. It was a part of, you know, this transhumanism, this whole thing about, you know, because it's all, since the creation has been about slaves. And the whole time they were willing to wipe everybody out unless it could be controlled. And that is like what they're doing again. But their whole thing is constantly trying to make something that is more controllable. That's why it's like, well, if we just took their consciousness. Well, if we just took their consciousness and we put it in a robot, then do we have total control? In that one robot I had seen, they looked fucking scared. Like, they looked so weirded out. Like, what the fuck is going on? And, yeah, guys, I was just, thinking about like when I went and I was trying to lay back down, and this keeps happening, and I keep feeling like I'm a giant. Like I keep feeling huge, like I'm becoming giant in the room and stuff. And I think it is something about the energy, like our energy. And I think that is why there'll be some like miracles where people will not die when they're expected to die, or all sorts of weird things are going to happen. There are going to be all sorts of witnessed miracles and crazy stories that we're going to hear. And I think it has to do with like the frequency raising and people's vibration, like your energy, your vibration, who you are on the inside, getting bigger and more magnetic and more colorful, just bigger and bigger. The more you're healing, the more pressure you take off of yourself, the more you release, the bigger your energy becomes, the less that they can hold you back, the bigger your energy becomes. And so then this insignificant, this thing is, it doesn't have the same significance as you go on. Like the more your energy gets bigger and the more that you learn to control it, the less that you need the avatar. The more it's like having a glove on and then taking the glove off. But it is kind of like learning how to do things without the glove. And so, but there's something like that. That is how it becomes like light bodies, is because we go more into our soul. As our soul gets bigger, as we turn more of ourselves on and our soul expands, then it's like it takes over the other part. Like the part that isn't real, it kind of get overshadowed. Kind of like when I was seeing those comedians and I could see their energy outside. It was way outside of their bodies. And it can be, like the excitement of being on stage, and they may have been really putting out a lot of energy, but then I know also all of us, our energy is outside of our bodies. Even people who don't have any recognition in their soul, even if they don't know who or what they are, they still have that energy that is going. And if they get excited or get scared or get sad, their energy is still going way bigger. But the more that you are purposely healing and growing, your energy is just getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And to me, that is like your light body, because your light body is the part of you that can't die. And this whole thing about, walking on the earth, the living and the dead shall walk on the earth together. It shall be heaven on earth, and all of that, all of that prophecy. And the whole thing about us not dying. Well, we can't die. There is no death anyways. But it's us learning we can't die, us realizing it. Because until then, we all played the parts and kept on dying. Oh, we get sick. Oh, we're dying. We kept doing it because they told us. It's just so crazy how, what they tell us and we believe, we make sure that it happens. And but however it went, if it is like these original people are some sort of Jewish, the beginning people of where Jewish people came from, but then they got more involved in trying to get rid of the indigenous people and, water them down and, use their, use part of their DNA, or take some of their people, I don't know, probably back in the day, if you were a darker family and then you had a lighter person in your family and that lighter person had to go to the doctor, they probably fucking kidnapped and taken to a lab. and used as for their blood, for their experiments. So who knows how they did it, but just the same way as how they do with dogs. You know, somebody sees like, oh, that one, that's a really small one. That would be so good if we bred it with that one. Oh, that one, the color of that, if we bred it with that one, that would be, you know. It was like, you know, that comes from somewhere. And so they, whatever they start doing, and then moving, you know, going and putting them out, like create a war, and then it was like that, or a disease or a sickness, and then they're doing it right fucking in front of us. And then say, oh, well, we have all these orphans and in homes. Well, now they just want to steal all the goddamn orphans. Now they just want to take them. They used to try and get them out into the world. And then they tried to create that supremacy thing, you know, like certain people were better than other people, because it was always an attack on the indigenous people. And so then to, you know, make like they're not good enough, and then feed people's ego. And a lot of those people back in the day, they gave them money, they gave them ranches, they gave them things. They made them, you know, be mayors and shit like that. They gave them control. It's like, I saw about that on some show. What was that? Because it was something about the hierarchy, about the creation of enslavement or slavery or something like that. And this, and then I saw a show, and it was showing like the same thing. So I got to see it kind of play out. It was that show. I think it's on Prime. It's new. And it is that girl who is jumping realities. And she's going back to a time where she's going into slave times, and or plantation times or whatever. But so because how they would, it's kind of like the same as the gangsters, you know, the guy who goes out and breaks the knees, he's not way up there, you know, he's still under control. He's the henchman. And that is kind of what they did in communities, is create a bunch of henchmen, you know, give them a horse and give them a little money, give them a little power, and then and give them the boundaries to be able to break whatever laws that they see fit to create chaos, the instigators, to the dark, to take us in a certain direction. And how many people have played the part? So many people play the part because they think, well, it's evil anyways. Well, everybody else is doing it. Well, it's the dark. Well, you know, like people just don't care. Well, you should care, because your soul cares, because that's what you can't get away from. Your soul is going, you will be haunted by your choices, and you don't know until you have to go and face them. And if you don't face them in life, you face them in, you know, death. You always will face yourself. There's no getting away from facing yourself. And to me, it's a lot better to go into awareness in life of that ultimate, you know, balancing effect that occurs. It's like the universal laws. It's like you need to know those way more than you need to know the fucking Constitution. You need to understand, you know, universal law of a balance of what you put out is going to come back to you. And so but so whatever they did, and then they created wars and sickness and stuff, and started putting these people out into the world, and then giving them money and power and the ability to be over other people, just automatically, just by, you know, being the mayor. You know, you go in and, well, now you're living by our rules. You don't want to live by our rules? Well, we'll stick you out there on a reservation, or we'll kill you, or we'll put you to work, or whatever. Whatever, you know, it's like different things in different places. And so once they started doing that, and started, you know, being so aggressive and killing so many people. Oh my God, they killed so many people of the tribes and stuff. even when they said, that they were going to, civilize them, make them more civilized and stuff, like do them a favor and educate them, just fucking kill their kids and shit. They're so, but see, that's what they want to do, is they want to get rid of all of those people. They want to get rid of the original people. They wanted to just create their own little habitat world with their own little slave people. And that's their whole thing, of get you to not even know who you are, so that you just volunteer your consciousness. You volunteer, like, your body is so much more about telling you what's wrong, helping you to grow and stuff like that. And people, I mean, the amount of fucking videos I have seen, these motherfucking girls just goddamn fry their hair off. And they just don't even, it's just like nothing. It's like they fry their hair off, and then it's just like, go put on some fake hair. Just go put on some fake hair and call it good, as long as you have hair. It's like your hair has a purpose. There's a reason you have hair, and you're just destroying it. And, so you're just slapping your face, you're slapping your body in the face, like, fuck you. I'm not surprised there's so many girls' hair that is falling out, like right now. So many girls' hair just frying off and falling off and all this stuff, because they're so disrespectful to their own hair. They're so disrespectful to purpose, to what it is all about. And so, but that's, but how many of them, their hair falls out and it's just like, well, the little nubs, let's go color them. Let's color them, and let's put some glue and some chemicals, and let's put some fake hair on there. It's just like, fuck, man. And then, the fake hair with all the weird colors, and then the way overdone makeup. It's just like, you're just creating characters. You're not even, that is not who you are. If that was who you are, you wouldn't need so much stuff. Like, if you're having to put on a whole bunch of fake stuff, then how is that who you are? It's like a character that you've created so that you can be comfortable in the world. I don't know why so many people just want to create these strange characters, though. It's like, I don't know. Like, why they can't just relax into themselves. Why everything has to be so strange and, and at this point, so many people have the strange colored hair. It's like, isn't it time to start a new trend? Maybe don't do that. Leave your hair alone for a while and see what happens. So, I don't know. Everybody's got to figure this stuff out for themselves. Like, I'm sure there's people who would tell me, like, well, you got yourself covered with fucking poison all over your skin. Yeah, well, I did. And that's probably a part of my joint pain. And, as soon as I can get in the med beds, everything that is poison, I'm getting out of me for sure. But I'm not going out and putting it in me currently. I'm not going out and running and putting more in every day. I'm not going and just like, but I know a lot of people who are, and, I'm not going to go and tell people what they can or can't do. I'm not telling people they can't color their hair. I'm just shocked at how many people, like, the amount. This one I had just seen, it's like, it looks like you have black hair, and then you've bleached it white, and then you've put this pink on top of it, so you've got all these colors, your hair's fried off, like, all of those treatments, your hair's fried off, you have a tiny bit of hair, and then the next thing is, like, long extensions. It's like, oh, who cares if your hair's fried off, just put on extensions. It's like, you need to care that you're frying your hair off. You need to care that you are destroying some parts of yourself. Like, your hair it's significant, just like your skin. But anyways, but then once they started putting the people out there in the different communities and stuff, and then they had to herd them, they had to move people. They had to start getting them out into other places. So, they attack Scotland. They attack England, where they've put a huge amount of these people. And then those people all start leaving and come over to America. They all did that fucking shit on purpose, motherfuckers. They did that on fucking purpose. And then all of the tribes over here. So then go and get those people to come over here. And they're running for their lives. And then they are coming here to start, because then once they got the people over here, then they started like sending over their henchmen and stuff. And these guys taking over all of these fucking, like all Wyoming, all Montana, all these ranchers buying up all of this land and stuff. And, where was all the money coming from in the beginning? How there became all these big, rich fucking ranchers and shit like that. It's because it was all fucking done on purpose. It was their henchmen. It was their ways of coming in to destroy the indigenous people. They've been doing it the whole motherfucking time. And I started to watch this movie yesterday. I couldn't even fucking watch it. It made me so fucking sick. So it was a true story. And I think it happened in the 90s. But it's happened so many times since. It fucking happens over and over and over. And it was just so disgusting. But I only saw the first small bit. Because it was a black kid. So a dark-skinned kid in New York, I'm pretty sure. And he, I don't know, some racist weirdo cop killed him. And he was an honor student. And then he flipped the story and said that the kid was, being a criminal and trying to rob him or something like that. But the way the parents were treated, like, oh my God. In the hospital, and they just come out, and the parents are standing there, and the doctor just comes out, sorry, we couldn't save him. It's just like, oh my God. The way that they would just treat the darker skinned people, like we can just kill them if we want, and then just, oh well, too bad. And they've just done it over and over and over. And there has been people, that is the supremacy part, is the people who have just ignored the mistreatment of other people. And, I don't look at it as like all these people are just racist. I think a lot of the people are just, stuck in their own stories, stuck in their own life. They don't have time to be bothered. If you're not in their orbit, if you don't work at their job, if you're not on... if your kid's not on the same soccer team, they don't know you. They don't have time for you. So it's not like they don't like certain people. It's just like we don't run in the same circles. And I think there's a lot of other people in other communities that feel the same way. It's like, I think if you go and you talk to a lot of people in darker communities, they'd say like, yeah, I don't have a lot of white friends. Most of my people I'm around are darker because that's their community and they stay in their community. Most people have their orbit, they have their community, and it's not because they are choosing. I think most people want to have friends of other colors just to show that they aren't racist, that they do love everybody. So everybody wants an opportunity, but that's not in everybody's orbit. It all depends on, who is there to interact with you. And you could feel a big, like a big need to show people that you're not racist, and maybe you want to go out and try and find some darker skinned people so that you can prove to everybody you've got, dark skinned friends and stuff like that. And I'm sure there's some darker skinned people who also feel the same way. Like, I'm going to have some white friends, like everybody. That's how I see it. I don't see it at all as people are like, I think the people who are racist are really just scared. Like these people who just start shooting through their door. They're so fucking scared they can't even goddamn open the door. They're in such fear. Like, you can get people to believe there's demons. You can get people to believe there's monsters. So, to get to tell these people on the news all the time, and then for there to be just nonstop crime, and you got to be careful. People will come to your door, they'll just kick in your door, they'll trick you, they'll stand out there at your door and pretend like there's just one person, but then six will come in. And so there's all sorts of things on the news and stuff. And when people don't have, and especially like older people and stuff like that who aren't even going to work, they're not even meeting a lot of people. There's not a lot of interaction. They're kind of dumped out of society, and they're living in fear. And so, and then they overreact. But all of those things were always supposed to happen because it was always supposed to reach this point of outrage where we would start to see the importance, the significance of us coming together, of us acknowledging one another's stories, to see the truth and to really see what's been going on here, and that they really have been attacking these other people. They really have been trying to take over the world and get rid of all of those people and create their little fucking weird droid, easily controlled people. I mean, they were goddamn saying it about the blonde hair, blue-eyed people, that Hitler was talking about. Like, they were, putting it right out there. We're trying to create little robot people, the perfect little droid people. And then that wasn't good enough, I think, because it's just slow. I think, it's like, damn, this takes some time. Killing all these people off and then still trying to, and then so many, it's so funny too, because it is so many of the lighter skinned people are now the ones who don't want to have any kids. I've seen so many young white women. I'm never having kids. I'm never having kids. I was one of them even. I didn't think I could have kids, but then I was shown something different as time went on. But where they want to get out there and have their little droids take over the world. But now, see, they've gone in this other direction to get, attack people's reproductive. And so that they can't have kids, because now they're pushing more to have kids in labs, and people are all for it. Yeah, I'll have a lab baby. And so, all of the stuff that they're doing in the labs, people are accepting it more. But the people who they're trying to get, the droid people now are kind of not wanting to. But then also, they got the whole trans agenda happening, to get it to all of the sexual confusion, all of the giving up your procreation, being long-term medical use on pharmaceuticals and stuff. So all of that whole thing. But at the same time that they are going all in on the transhumanism thing and the synthetics, but see, they're stealing consciousness to animate the synthetics. And so it's everything is about this stealing the consciousness and controlling it. Everything's about this control of their environment. But everything, just got to remember, is that we all came in to this story. We all came into this game to play a role, to play a part. And so much of the darkness then had to go into the light. So a lot of the people who have come here were bringing in the light because there was so much darkness. So a lot of people are bringing the light. I think there was so many people who are bringing in the light. That's why they all feel so uncomfortable and like, what is this place? I need out of here, because the light is uncomfortable in the dark. And there's so much darkness. But see, the light is coming through, and the light is shining on everything. And you can see, even when people are bringing the light, and they're like, I know everybody keeps telling me I'm crazy. And it's like that. So the people who bring the light get a lot of darkness shined on them. And so, yeah, bringing in the light is very uncomfortable. So that's why so many people feel that discomfort, during this time. This is like this disclosure time, and all of the stuff that people try and share of information And in the dark, it keeps trying to repress it, but it makes it super uncomfortable. But it is like all of the light, like our force, the light force, it is growing. It is getting bigger, just like they're trying to hold us back, but we're finding each other, you know. Our energy is moving, like our energy is coming together. And, you know, just find, I thought that was so cool. The one person who they were saying something about to their guides, and then their guides brought them one of my videos. What did I say like a few weeks ago? I said that they had told me, my guides had told me that they're going to start, like there's going to be people coming in and they're going to take them right to the video that they need to hear. And I said, it's so trippy, but that is what they have shown me that they're going to do. And then that girl said that her guides, she was asking her guides a question, and she said she'd never seen me, never, and nothing. And all of a sudden, one of my videos popped up, and she listened, and it was like I was being used by her guides to say what their message was that they were passing on. But that is what they have been telling me, you know, this whole time. And so even though if I talk about, you know, things that just seem strange, but it's different things that people are like trying to figure out or trying to understand. And it's like handing more pieces. It's like we're sharing puzzle pieces, trying to put it all together. So, you know, and we're all trying to just put it together. We're all just trying to figure this out. But in how I decipher, you know, like this age is its own standalone period of time. And that I really don't know that white people were in any of the other ages. What we think of as just white people. Like there's lots of different people, like of ethnicity, but even if they don't get like really darker, there's still some sort of ethnicity to them that is comes from the tribes. And I think it's but there's a difference. Like, I think everybody knows the difference. Like, the white man that can't jump, the white man that can't dance, that, you know, whatever it was that they were doing to us to remove, you know, remove whatever they saw as something that they couldn't control. But their whole thing is the control of the consciousness. That's why they're like fucking trying to suck it right out of people. And then, oh, that is creepy. Like, have a big group of people. Like, is that what they're doing at some of these concerts? Because there's some weird shit going on at the concerts. And if it is, you know, because at stadiums and shit like that, like where they do these ceremonies and stuff, it's because of our energy. Because it's so big. Because, like, as we're pushing through this door, just imagine, in the visual, just imagine the room is dark. It's so dark. And the door is one of those pushing doors, the round ones. And so there's a whole bunch of us. I'm right up there at the front. And we're up there, like, we can see through the glass. And we can see into the dark, and we got to just keep pushing and pushing in that pressure, because it's pushing back. And so that pressure, and it's pushing back all the time, but we're pushing, and we're getting bigger, we're getting stronger, we're coming together, we're unifying, we're finding one another, and we're all pushing that energy, pushing into the dark. And then, oh, it's cool too when it busts through and the light comes into the dark. But there's a lot of stuff in the dark that people have to see, a lot in the dark. But those of us who are at the front of the line pushing the hardest to push against that, you know, with the awareness of what we're doing. A lot of people don't know, like I said, the people at the back of the line, they don't know what's going on at the front of the line. And so we can't worry about what they're doing at the back of the line. We got to just keep being, it doesn't matter if they don't get it, if they think we're crazy. We can see what's going on, and we got to push through. And so that, but when the light comes into the room and changes, then I think that is what is like happening. It is like the light is coming in, and it is causing us so much chaos. It is like the things that we're seeing are like people who, it's like they're shorting out or something. It's like they're so full of the darkness that is shorting them out, because they've filled themselves with darkness without even realizing they filled themselves with darkness. Because there's a lot of people who think like, well, they're a do-gooder. But see, a do-gooder doesn't realize you are so full of yourself. You're so full of ego. You think you're better than other people because you think you're doing good works. Your good works aren't for everybody. Your good works are for your own self-gratification. And so that is at the dark. It's not your intention has to be a free giving freely, not of I need to make sure everybody knows, so I can look like a good person, so I can be built up. So that is where, there's a fine line between bringing in bringing in knowledge, bringing in information, and then building yourself up. So, there's a very fine line in there. And everything, remember, is this tightrope balance of yourself, and you can't hide from yourself. Even if you go out of balance, it doesn't fucking matter, because you will always go back into balance. You will learn. Something will be there to teach you. Everything is like the bumpers in life are there to help you find your balance. But that is why you can't just ignore the fact you're burning your goddamn hair off, or you're eating too much and you're getting sick. You have to acknowledge what is happening for you, for your vessel. You can't feel shame. You can't feel like, well, guilt. Well, I've always had an eating disorder. I've always eaten too much, and now I feel bad, so I got to pretend like I don't, and it's out of my control. Like, I've also played the victim in life, so I know that role, and it isn't a role that you want to be playing. You have to find your place of empowerment. You have to find your place of control. Once you can find your place of control, then you can go at life as somebody, not as it like everything's got to be so fucking controlled to the minute thing, but you can empower yourself to know that you are playing from a place of control. You're not playing from a place where you have no control of things. Where I think it's really clear when people say, well, I had to do it. But did you have to do it? Like, when you break it down, what did you really have to do? You didn't have to do a thing. Nobody was forcing you. All the forcing happens up in here. It's the games in your mind you play with yourself to force you. It's a game that you play to please others. It's that same mentality of being the good person. The good person, like, you have a lot of good persons out there who are playing Karens because, they, a good person is very about the rules. That's what we were seeing, along with the TDS, the SJWs, the social justice warriors. They know what's best for everybody. They know what's best for the world. It's all from how they see it. And that is so about ego. It's so about fear. Fear and ego. Fear and ego. Fear and ego. It's like the two are very in union. And you got to separate them. It's like the same thing as all of the noise inside of your head. You got to separate it. You got to manage it. You got to listen. The same thing as like if you go into a room and there's just a shit ton of noise. You can stop and you can listen to each noise. Oh, okay. That's the kids. Those kids over there, they're yelling. Okay, that's the music over there. Okay, that's that guy back there. He's talking really loud. Okay, and that is that over there is making that beeping noise. Like, you can stop and you can think and you can disintegrate, you can isolate each sound, and recognize, so you can isolate and recognize each sound and kind of like categorize it or whatever. So it's the same thing in your head, where you can start to isolate and recognize the communication, so that you can get order in your mind and make order out of disorder, especially at this time when there's so much chaos. But you have to recognize those certain voices inside of you who tell you, you're better than somebody else. You can be a good person. Everybody should be like you. If they want to be a good person, you're the best person. You should be this way. Those things, because there is no hierarchy in the elevated spiritual realm. It is, there's an equal footing. That's why you can become a collective. That's why you can become a flock of geese or something, is because there is an equalizer. It isn't, even if people are in different vibrations in different places, it isn't like the same energy is here, where somebody is like, oh, well, somebody who gets to live there, they get everything, and where I live, we get nothing. It's not like that. It's not like where you feel like you're missing out. But it is a drive and the motivator to always want to be expanding yourself, to always want to be learning and growing, which has all to do with the incarnation of because of the growing and the expanding, because your energy is the expansion, it is the evolution, it is the growth, it is the it is like the more information you give it, the bigger and smarter it gets. And so that is what, we're doing. It's like we're a library that wants to fill itself with the best books. But we aren't in a rush, like how so many people, they think like, they got to hurry. They woke up, they got to hurry, they got to get to the end, they got to get to but it isn't about that. There is not an end to get to. It is the journey. It's the path. It's the road. That is the experience. The path to enlightenment is the growth. It's the every step. It's every fucking pebble that you step on is necessary to your growth. And so you need to have the whole experience. You don't need to jump. It's not like you need to leapfrog through your awakening. You need to go in and slow down. That was my overall message too from that last weekend, where I missed out on the extra day of camping. Was this morning I was like, what is my overall message? It was just slow down. Just slow down. Be a part of life. Slow down. Enjoy life. You're not in a rush. Where are you going? What do you got to get to? Slow down and just go along for the ride. Enjoy it. There's nothing you need to be worried about. There's nothing you need to fear. And so it is that not being in a rush, like, oh, I've got to hurry and get there. Oh, this has got to happen. Oh, I've got to be this. I got to do that. I got to, instead it's like that island kind of, I think it's even in the Eastern philosophy, but it is like just to, go with the flow. What comes your way, it comes when it's supposed to come. You're not supposed to be rushing to get somewhere, because I love that one story. And it was in the Buddha Bible I had, but it was about the son and the dad were walking, and the dad was the old man, and the son was walking with him, and he was in a hurry, and he was like, we need to hurry up and get here, and just keeps trying to rush the dad. And the dad just keeps going slowly. And I can't remember if the dad is saying things as they're going or whatever. But once they get to where they're going, they get up to the ledge of Hiroshima or Nagasaki. I don't remember which one. But when they get to the edge, it had just happened. So if they would have gotten there faster and rushed like the sun wanted to, they would have been there and been killed with everybody else. But because they weren't, they were just going with the time, then they didn't. But see, whatever's going to happen is always supposed to happen. If they were supposed to be there at the time when it was going to happen, then they would have been there at the time it was supposed to happen. There is no real control like that. Like, well, if I just do this, then that won't happen. It's not really like that, because whatever's going to happen is really going to happen. But the whole thing is just to slow down. Like, what are you trying to rush to? Where are you trying to get to? What do you think is going to happen if you hurry and get there? Like, you could be rushing into, a trap. You could be rushing into a death. You could be rushing, so there is no rush to anything. Everything is just to get into the flow. Treat life like it's a river float. It's a meandering river float, and you do, like the river float, what I just did. You go over some really rough, like wild rocks, and you got to hold on and everything. And then, goes into calmer waters. And you just, calmly go. It's when you can laugh and enjoy life. And then you go back into the, the wild waters. But, and then, sometimes you all have to hold on to each other. But that is, that is how life is. And when you can just get into the flow of it, not be in fear, like, or think that you can control it. Like, you can stop the wild waters from coming, or you can control it, or you're so in fear of it that you just stop, you just dock and go on the side of the river. And it's like, I'm not going through another one. I'm just going to sit here. Like, and so you stop experiencing it all because you are so in fear, because you're in fear because you don't trust yourself. Because what do you think is going to happen? Even if the thing that you fear the most, that you think is the worst thing that could happen, death, is the ultimate thing that were to happen. It was always supposed to happen that way. You would get over there and you would think, how silly of me that I was so scared. And, there's nothing to fear about death at all. It is the only thing that is always the worst thing is the building up to it. Like, oh, I think I didn't ever finish that story yesterday, because it was something that I was watching, and this guy was going to shoot this woman, and it's that part, where it's showing her face where she's so scared and she knows what's about to happen. That's the part. That's the scary part. That's the only scary part, is that instant. And however long that drags out, that's what always has terrorized me about people who are tortured and murdered and stuff like that. And, but probably the people who are tortured and murdered were also, they tortured and murdered. And so then they have to come in and see the other side of it so that they understand what they did to someone else, so that they experience it. Because there's a universal law. There's, you can't do things. Everything comes back to you. And so the, that is just, that's something like, I think people don't want to think. They want to see people as the victim. Well, they were the victim. They were killed. They were slaughtered or whatever. They don't realize, but they were playing that part. They were the slaughterer in, last time. So it's just this playing these parts back and forth all the time. But that's the part that always gets me, though, is that scary part of however long they drag that out. And some people really like to terrorize people on that part. That's the part that gets me. But there's nothing about death that is scary except for that drug out part. And when you go and you listen to near-death experiences and stuff like that, a lot of people check out before, is where people go into shock. So it is as soon as their system is in overload. So you're being traumatized by something. So you're just on, your body goes into kind of a automatic response system, and your soul kind of checks out, kind of turns the other way because of the thing that is playing out. So it doesn't necessarily stay there and go through the trauma. Most souls don't stay and go through the trauma. They just check out. And some will watch from the sidelines, but some will just not watch at all. It just depends. And so, but that is a part of the story that, but the person isn't really dying. It's just the character in the story. And so, I don't know if that makes sense, but I can totally see it. It totally makes sense to me. But anyways, I wasn't even going to be talking about all of that stuff, with all of the color thing, but it just, that's how I see it. You know, it is important for all of us to come together, for all of us to see. We've all had some manipulations and trauma and all of that. But that is the beautiful part about what is going on, is this collective unity that is coming together, where we do, you know, acknowledge and understand one another's pain. It gets me all emotional because there is just so much pain, so much pain being purged out of Earth right now, you know. And it has just been so much turmoil for a long time. But it is, I mean, it's really, really cool when you really realize, like, you know, this purge is leading us to something that is going to be so beautiful, so exciting, and so new. And, you know, that those of us who are here to transition into that, like, it's the seeders. It's the seeders of the new world. I mean, I think that is such an important role. It's such an important, you know, like, people should really take it serious. Like, what are you bringing into this new world? Like, I mean, I know that you can't bring in all your pain and suffering. Like you'll be held back. You won't be able to get in there. But, you know, it should be the model that people want to represent themselves as is a healed, powerful, empowered being that is in charge of their life, that is connected to others, connected to the spiritual world. You know, no longer is it all this artificial disconnect, this fucking, you know, shallow, superficial, false habitat world. You know, it's, you know, we're building something real, something substantial, not this, I mean, it's not going to, even with the food thing, because, you know, there's going to still be people who are very, well, there's a thing even about just to want to enjoy, you know, like, oh man, I just really would love to have a burger. I really miss the burger. And it's going to be like the Jetsons, like where you can go in and you can push this pill thing that will give you that flavor or something. Or there's going to be like these 3D printers that print out this fucking food that seems real, that's not really real, but we don't really need real food. It's just more of the satisfaction of doing something that seemed familiar, but it's not. Like, we don't need that energy, especially when you realize, like, we're letting go of the old kind of bodies, and we're moving more into, like, our soul, our soul body, and being more of acknowledging who we are. And so our soul, our energy, it doesn't need artificial energy, doesn't need someone else's energy. It needs to be built up. That is like those things of doing, like those like chi and stuff, like doing your movement and building your energy, going out and taking deep breaths and stuff, like those Brethren people. Like, I think they're kind of ahead of us on that, figuring out how to use energy, like the free energy around you, to take that energy in to build you up. And it's a process. It's a process, because like I still get depleted feeling and still get hungry feeling, like, fuck, yesterday I swear to God I ate all fucking day long. It's just like I kept eating and eating and eating. And here I'm up in the middle of the night. I haven't started eating, but I did make hot chocolate, and I had a little bit of whipped cream and I put that all on it. It was really good. I shared it with Stella too. She really liked it. But anyways, you know, I think, you know, they just to recognize our history. And I'm really, really, you know, if anybody who is listening to this is Jewish, I really do not mean to offend anybody about any of this stuff. You know, all I'm talking about is the original people, the original families, you know, of their origin, of what they are, who they are, and why there's different people coming out and saying things, and why you get some of them and you go listen to what they're saying. Like, you know, there's some other rabbis, not just that fucking Finkelstein or whatever. But there is well, you hear some of them, there is a quiet and arrogance of, you know, looking down on us. And you just got to listen to it for yourself. It really, when you hear it, you think, this can't be real. It's crazy. But anyways, I really don't mean to offend anybody if I have about, you know, I think we just got to try and figure out, like, you know, the origin, like what's going on here. And I think it seems obvious to me, but I know that, you know, so many things you can say are so offensive to people. Like, people don't want to see the truth. And to me, it's like, I don't know for sure if I'm saying the truth, but I'm, you know, trying to figure it out. I'm trying to look at things deeper. I'm trying to put the pieces together. And so I don't think there's anything wrong with that. And, you know, there's certain pieces. So anyways, but I know that there would be some people who are probably, just like in all these different communities, you know, they have nothing to do with the certain groups, but then they feel a part of that community. So they feel slighted or judged by, but that is a part of detach from the different communities, because the communities aren't you. You're sovereign. You may relate to a community, but you're sovereign. And you're not just one thing. You're not just a black person. You're not just a white person. You're not just any of the things. You're all the things. You've been all the things. Like, there's not, like I said, I don't even think that very many people have been playing white people for very long. I think it's like this newer kind of role here. It is most of us who have been incarnating here, you've been playing it all in darker things. You've been in tribes and stuff like that. So all of those different kind of experiences, and, you know, most of your incarnations would have been what you would consider some kind of ethnicity. So that's where we all are really come together. We're not what we think we are. And so don't get all caught up in thinking like, well, you know, I've got to stand up because I'm this. But you're all the things. You're not just that. The reason you are just too focused on just being that is because you're too caught up in the story. So then you think that's all you are, is just that. But you're all the things. You're all the parts. So anyways, you know, hopefully that makes sense. And hopefully I haven't hurt anybody's feelings or offended them. But I think that I just really, it doesn't make any sense to me where white people came from when all the tribes were not white. And then all of the things, when you put it together, all of the science and all of the stuff that they're doing, and everything that they're doing is showing what they've been doing for a long time. So I mean, I think all the signs are there. Like, and and I've accepted the fact that I'm a goddamn lab rat. And oh yeah, and this is another thing too. And so, like this muscle back here, as you get older, everybody complains about, it just gets so saggy and it just hangs there. And so I saw this woman and she was doing these exercises that she said are for that muscle. And so she put your hand in this, it's called leopard paw something or something like that. And so then you put it up and then you're not going to be able to see it, but you put it up and then you lift it. And so you lift it. And so I was thinking about that today because I did it for a couple minutes the other day. I was like, fuck, that does hurt. And so I was thinking about, if you hung a bar and you did those chin lifts or arm lifts or whatever, it'd be the same thing. And I was thinking, oh, so that muscle is back there that we all complain about that goes away as we age is like our climbing muscle. Like when we would climb trees or we would, so as animals, then that muscle, like to climb through trees or, whatever kind of barbaric creatures we were all the way back. But so that muscle had a purpose. And then as kids, grow up and become who they're going to be, when they start out, they're always climbing things, climbing trees and stuff. So they have a muscle back there. But then as we age, we stop climbing. And so that muscle goes away. So I think doing things to kind of initiate or, recreate climbing or go out and climb some trees or something. And I think that would build that muscle back up. But I also think that there's because that's a flesh and blood kind of concept. And, as we become our best selves, because that's a part of this whole changing, we start becoming, our best selves. And we probably won't even need something like that because we don't go out and climb trees anymore. So there'll be certain things, well, we don't need that. So why would we have that? And our bodies are going to represent ourselves differently. Just like how all those people in those QHHT things kept seeing themselves as being like, they all were saying, I look like myself, only way more fit, way better shape. My hair's way nicer. My muscles are more defined. My face looks better. Like everybody just becomes their best versions of themselves through this transition. And, I don't know how it all goes down, but I know it is leaving this flesh and blood concept and moving into, your light body, who you really are. Moving into your soul, making your soul bigger and bigger and bigger. That energy. And that's who you become. So anyways, I don't know if any of that's making sense now. It's like 5:30. And I seriously stay up. Like if I even lay down, it'll just be for a second. But like maybe I'll fall asleep for like 10 or 15 minutes or something. But it would be more like I don't even know what today is going to be like. But it's going to be the same kind of eerie, orange, creepy, just weird. God, it's so weird outside. And then here I've got spiders everywhere. Spiders hanging everywhere. And it's orange. And all of the pine needles are on the ground again. It's this weird temperature. It's just fucking weird as fuck. It is like, fuck, I kind of want to just get the hell out of here again. It's like so creepy. It's like you're just waiting for something to goddamn blow up. So I don't know what's going to go down. It's just weird shit. It's just going to keep going and going. So, maybe I'll be back again in 12 more hours. Who knows? Maybe it'll be 6. Maybe something big. Maybe there's like the energy is building. And I got to just keep coming in every couple hours and talk about stuff. Like, I don't know. Maybe I just keep talking about the same thing. Maybe I'm manic. Maybe I'm in a manic episode. Maybe I need medication. I don't know. I don't know. But I really do stay awake. But the part where, like when you're up at like 3 or 4 in the morning, you try and go back to sleep, especially if you've already been sleeping like 6 or 7 hours. It's way too much. There's way too much noise. There's way too much, like, as soon as you close your eyes and try and close your brain off, there's just blah, 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 blah. It's just talking and talking and talking. It's like, oh, yeah, oh, fuck. Yeah, oh my God. Okay, yeah. It's like you can't go to sleep. You just in fucking conversation after conversation. So it's not like, I don't know. I can't stay asleep at this point. So I don't know. I don't know what today will be like, but whatever goes, stay safe. And don't forget, like when you're going out, some of these people are fucking off their goddamn rockers. Like I cannot believe some people who I see who are trying to be aggressive towards these people. These people are goddamn, robot. It's like they're checked out. So going and trying to, especially if somebody's coming at you and trying to start shit with you, I would not be fucking pulling out my phone. Okay, let's go. Let's do this. I'm going to make you look foolish. Like you're fucking risking your life at this point for views. Like, and that's your lesson. That's your lesson. I would be turning the other direction. Like this is the zombie apocalypse. This is where you think about that. Zombies. And to me, like the alien invasion, I mean, we've been having alien invasion for the past few years. All these people are going into other places and stuff like that. So, anyways, to me, it's all how you look at it. So anyways, stay safe and just keep working on you and don't be trying to fucking go viral with these weirdo people. Just let these weirdo people fizzle out, like, or wake up, one or the other. So I'll talk to you later. Bye.